Well, g'day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Mad Dragons vodcast. It is always good to do one of these after a win. I tell you, on Thursday night, I wanted to do one straight away. I was up and about, and I was absolutely fired up. But we've got the normal crew with us. We've got Joe Hickory, Matt Hasler, Darren Young, and Benny O'Brien. All with us. Darren Young, I think, he's contracted COVID. He's joining us from isolation in hotel room. So he's gone above and beyond to be here for this one. But every now and then, the Broncos seem to bring out the best in us. You know, we saw it in a semi-final back in 2018, and we saw it again on Thursday night. Suddenly our line speed is good. Our aggression is up through the roof. Our pace of play just goes up a few notches. And there was no way that we were ever going to lose that game. That was, really, it was a really exhilarating performance. It was fun to watch. I don't know about you blokes, but I really enjoyed it. There were positive signs from the first hit up. So Matt Lodge takes the first hit up, an amazing first contact by Blake Laurie. Just smashed him right from the first tackle. And that set the platform. I thought Blake Laurie had a really good performance. Last week, I thought it was his worst of the season, but back doing what he does best against the Broncos. How did you rate Blake Laurie and probably the forward pack in general in terms of the way we started this one, Matty?
Look, much better performance than we've seen last couple of weeks. Laurie especially, he was ripping in the way that we know he can. But all the forwards really stood up. They laid the platform for the halves to do what they were doing, and we got exactly what you're supposed to get when that happens. So, just goes to show your forwards lay the platform, you can do anything.
Okay, I feel like it's impossible to talk about any big moment in this match without addressing the white elephant in the room. Matt Dufty. He was involved in everything. Everything good was Dufty. And you could find fault in Dufty that led to everything bad that happened in the game as well. So that there was a bit of rocks and diamonds. Certainly in this particular incident, a lot more diamonds. I want to talk, rather than talk about whether we're going to keep Dufty or get rid of Dufty, I want to talk in isolation about each of the big moments that involved Matt. So I'll break up the incident, break it right down, and then I'll throw to one of you for a comment on just that incident. The first one is their first try. Dufty defending, for some reason, defending in the line, 25 metres out, the kick goes through. Why was he defending in the line? Why was he so badly out of position? Given that's one of the key criticisms of him, Youngie?
Good question. I think you raised it the other night, and I was thinking the same thing. Why is he there? And I thought to myself, hello, this is the Dufty we know in defence. So, it wasn't looking good from the beginning, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was certainly... a key thought that went through my head was that, with everything that's gone on in the lead up to this return from injury, seeing this incident, is this going to be a game where Dufty just, drops the ball and does all the bad things that he's been criticised for? That thought pretty much went out the window with our first try. Dufty one-on-one with Tyson Gamble leaves him clutching at air as he slices through, draws the fullback and sets up Jack Bird for a fantastic try. Did you think Bird was going to run out of legs as he was running through quicksand in the last 5 to 10 metres, Benny?
Yeah, that was a great try. Awesome work from Dufty. That little dummy in the step inside is just brilliant. The birdie, he would have been pretty happy to get that try, that's for sure. You can see he's sort of looking around and seeing who was there, but he's like, bugger it, he's strong enough and big enough to get there. And he had the momentum to get him over the line. Brilliant try, and I think that really sort of laid the platform, for at least the run home in that half. And like you said earlier, how can you talk about this game without talking about Dufty? It's just rocks and diamonds, like you said, but so many diamonds in this game, and I'm pretty sure we're all shaking our heads at what's going on with him at the club level and trying to work out what the hell is happening, because how are they letting him go? Like, seriously, like...
It's a tough one to figure out, but we'll keep moving through the Dufty moments. The next one is a bit of a rock. I'll throw to you, Joe. Rabati went through some pretty feeble defence from Norman, but then strolled past Dufty like he wasn't there at all. Again, another one of the criticisms of Dufty is around his defence. Was this a try that showed that those that do doubt Dufty, the Dufty doubters, do they have any legs to stand on after seeing this try?
Yeah, as everybody knows, I'm a very big Dufty fan. And yeah, he kind of steamrolled him, but mate, he wouldn't have been the only winger that would, fullback that it would have happened to. You know what I mean? It could have happened to a number of wingers that are in the competition. So, and he is, look, as much as he's trying to get stronger and bigger in the off season, he does still struggle for size and a little bit of one-on-one strength. But mate, like everyone's saying, there's hell of a lot more diamonds than there are rocks. All right. I saw probably, he was out of try for the first one that you mentioned with Daz, out of position, and this one, yeah, he did let that try in as well, but he had 5 try assists and scored 2 himself. So, you got to weigh things up a little bit, and there's no attacking fullback in the competition quite like Dufty. There may be better defending fullbacks, which I agree. I'm not saying no. But, mate, I reckon Benny's a genius. Ben said at the beginning of the year, why not put him in the halves? You got Norman and you got Dufty. And they're both off contract, and you can keep one. Who would you keep?
Dufty.
Why can't we put him in the halves? We'll put him in the halves and have Jack the Bellend bodyguard him. We want a competition with a half the same way. When both got guarded James Soward. You know what I mean? Why can't we do that? Get rid of Norman, with all due respect. I don't mean it in a bad way. And spend the money on Dufty if it's all about dollars and cents, right? Play him in the halves, because he probably is already playing in the halves. And if you've got that young fella Sloan, who you're banking your bank on, who I've been told that's what the future lies with Tyrell Sloan, all well and good. Keep Dufty. You know what I mean? Man, I don't know. And then have him out on the fringes in defence with JDB. JDB's an axe, mate. He's one of the best defensive forwards this competition's ever seen. And I'll go on the record in saying that. There is no defender like Jack the Bellend. I've been watching rugby league for 50 years. I'm getting too old now. 45 years. And I've never seen in all my years of the love of the game, and I'm not talking about my own club, every club in Australia, there's never been a defender quite like Jack the Bellend. Put Dufty next to him on the line. Okay? Problem solved. And then you'll keep us happy, because the kid loves the club. Where's loyalty? Players, clubs, no one has loyalty. We're seeing just a little glimpse of it now. Why can't we just say that? Keep him. You know what I mean? I'm really hurt by this. What can we do?
Joe, I'll tell you what. I want to skip one and show you why I don't like Dufty in the halves. You go to our third try, and Dufty's doing a lot of his work on the left. This third try, he swings over to the right and sets up a try on the right. If he's playing in the halves, he's locked on one side of the field. You don't get the benefit of Dufty floating around and bobbing up everywhere on the field. At fullback, he can come and go. He can be in the middle. He can be out on the left. He can be out on the right. That is the danger of Dufty, is that the defence does not know where he's going to come from. And if you're going to talk about our juniors, talk about Tyrell Sloan, Cody Ramsey as being the ones to replace Dufty. If I was to rank who are our best juniors, Jaden Sullivan and Junior Amone are 1 and 2. They're 1 and 2 for me, and they're both halves. So that there's a couple of reasons why I don't like the idea of making Dufty a half, because I think our best two juniors coming through are both halves. Tyrell Sloan's probably next on that list for me. But I think you raised some good points. I just think we should be keeping Dufty and keeping him at fullback. I don't think that we have anyone that I'm a big rap on Tyrell Sloan, but I don't think he can't do the things that Dufty did in this game. He's not at the stage right now where next year he can slot in and be a better player than Matt Dufty. I don't think he is.
I'm hearing from friends that he is really the next big thing, Tyrell Sloan. The big thing. So I don't know. And I already know. We know about Junior Amone, and we know what Sullivan's made of. And mate, I can't wait to see these boys play. But I don't know. Are they ready for first grade? Junior Amone and Jaden Sullivan, will they be ready for, say, 2022, 2023 to be straight up?
Junior Amone could replace Corey Norman next week, and he'd be better than Corey Norman. Right now, he would be a fantastic player. He came on and he played, 15 minutes or something at the end of this game. Went into the halves, didn't get a chance to do too much. But he then backed up and played 80 minutes at lock in reserve grade. Set up a try, had a line break. Had a really good impact from what I've heard in the reserve grade game. He's a bloke that could come into first grade straight away and take Norman's spot. He could do it next week. He's ready. He's ready now.
So he can kick. He can kick, can he?
Yeah, he's got a decent kicking game. That's probably where we would lose something. But Norman does bring. He does have a really good kicking game. So we'd probably lose a little bit in that area. But I think in pretty much all other aspects,
but isn't that
better off.
But that's trainable though. That's something you can work on in training and improve on in your game, I think.
Yeah.
Because you just want someone that can kick for those corners really well.
But that comes with practice and experience, I believe. So, yeah.
That also comes with a forward pack that can get you in position to make those kicks too.
Yeah, exactly right.
You got to get the field position first.
For me, Matty, and I'll throw to you for this one. We skipped a couple of moments, but the biggest moment in the match for me was 2 minutes before halftime. Scores locked at 18-all. Broncos on the attack. Jake Turpin does a fantastic job, isolates Tavita Pangai Jr. Absolute monster, one-on-one with Matt Dufty. Should have steamrolled over the top of him and scored a try. Dufty stands his ground, did just enough to stop him from getting it down before Jackson Ford came in to help. This was one of the big moments in the game, wasn't it, Matty?
Absolutely. I mean, if they score that, it's could very well have been 24-18 the other way. So, I mean, Dufty does have his issues in defence. We've touched on it a few times, but no, that could potentially have been a game winner. That little bit of play that he was able to hold him out just enough for Jackson Ford to arrive. That could easily have been the difference in the end if we hadn't gone on to score 100,000 more points.
Oh, mate, that was 2 minutes before halftime, and then 14 seconds until halftime. We got a scrum feed, 30 metres out. Again, still locked at 18-all. Everybody's thinking field goal. Commentators across both networks are all saying they should be setting up for a field goal and take a 1-point lead into halftime. Dragons just put a kick in. And this is one of those things that I don't think there's many other fullbacks that score this try. I don't think there's many other fullbacks that get there to score this try. Now, I know Jermaine Azarko, he looked like he had it covered and should have just knocked it over the dead ball line. He had a brain fart heard around the stadium. Dufty just gave him an atomic wedgie to give the Dragons halftime lead. But, Youngie, this is something that's really got to excite you about watching Matt Dufty play?
Absolutely. But the first thing I was thinking is Osaka's stopped to have a durry or something. He just sort of just pulled up and got lazy. I don't even think that he knew Dufty was there. But he just shot out of a cannon, and I was like, oh, and boom, he got there. So, it was pretty exciting to watch.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic. A great way to finish the first half. Gave us a lot of momentum heading into the second. I'll talk about our next 3 tries. So these are all ones that Dufty set up. So the first one was DeBellum ball playing to Norman. Out the back to Bird, who runs a great decoy, creates 3-on-2 for Matt Dufty. This time Dufty goes the long pass, which again is the perfect option to Cody Ramsey. Spectacular finish in the corner for Ramsey. Next one was DeBellum again as ball player, got it to Dufty out the back of another good decoy, this time from Blake Laurie. Laurie draws in 2 defenders, including Albert Kelly, forced the centre to jam in. This gave Dufty the easy ball playing option, short ball to Kerr. And then probably the one where Dufty did the least, he still gets the try assist, but throws the long pass out to Ravalawa. But the Broncos winger, David Mead, adjusted pretty well. But there's just simply no way Ravalawa should have scored from there. Somehow he does, because he just does. No one's really sure how, but he's just an absolute monster. But just the different options Dufty was able to go with, and even the try in the first half, the short ball to Gerard Beale. So he's got put into situations where the ball players inside have created a 3-on-2 for him, but that's not a fait accompli. In each one, he needs to make the right option, short, long. He needs to come up with the right pass to the right player. Run it himself is another option as well. And every occasion in this game, when he got those 3-on-2 situations, he converted it, didn't he, Benny?
Yeah, he did, mate. And that's and credit to him. He's obviously got a really good footy brain, and he can see those opportunities, and he can sum up a play and see what the best option is going to be at the time. My argument is, and it was the same as what I said last week and the week before, is where's our heart doing that? Why is it all up to Dufty? Credit to him for doing it, because no one else is. But he's a brilliant footballer. There's no 2 ways about it. Even he's had a few sneaky kicks here and there, and he keeps on surprising us, and that's the thing I love about him. And that's why I don't want to lose him, because he's just that exciting brand of footy that the Dragons love. We got to hold on to him. It's just until that junior boys, like you said, are sort of ready to come through. And like Joe was saying, are they going to be ready for 22, 23, or we're more looking 24, 25? Like, there's still a long way to go before that. So
I don't buy the fact that they don't have the money, because Trent Merrin's just retired. As you say, are they going to re-sign Corey Norman or not? If not, there's that money. What have they committed to? They've definitely got the money there.
There was a rumour going around there was over $1 million sitting there for player acquisitions, and I don't think we've spent much of it. So surely we've got the money there, and it has come up on social media and stuff that it's more of an off-field issue than an on-field performance.
That was the past. We used to hear about that a lot, that he's got dramas with players off the field. I don't know if that's still the case, because they seem pretty bummy chummy when they're scoring, or high-fiving and hugging him, and gets a lot of support on social media too. A lot of the boys backing him, making comments on his social media posts. So I don't know, man,
and that's the thing, and that's what's so confusing for us as fans is, and we were talking about it the other night. Why is the club not coming out and definitively making a statement as to why we are not signing him? All of the fans, all the media, all the commentators are wondering why we are not moving ahead with him. Like, no one has said it's a personnel issue, it's a personality issue, it's a money issue, it's a...
Oh, yeah. We look like dickheads at the moment, that's for sure.
Exactly. Big time. Right. Yeah. Big time.
It's shit. And as fans, it gives us no confidence. And that's the thing that pisses me.
All right, let me ask you this. I'm going to ask you this question. Who's the best player in our team at the moment? Who?
Dufty, and then close second, Could be anyone.
Okay. And we don't want to re-sign you, our best player. Goodbye. What a fucking bunch of idiots.
Well, who was their best player last year? Who was their best player last year?
Well, we can't score without him.
Who was their best player last year? Cameron McInnes. He's been our player of the year 2 years in a row, and we started the year by saying, sorry, bloke that's been our best player 2 years in a row, we don't want you. What is
exactly right, Donnie? 100%.
But what was that to? Does anyone know what the actual issue there was? I
think it's because he loves loyal to the coach. They pissed the coach off, so he got pissed off with them, and then Sharks said, "We'll take you," and he's gone to the Sharks.
Oh, of course, just like the Bulldogs are going to take Dufty, like bullshit.
Imagine Neve having a field day, Daz.
Maybe they're trying to run the club into the ground so it's worth nothing, and then they buy that Steelers share back. Maybe that's the ulterior motive. It's all a money grab, mate. They're trying to bury us to make it cheap.
Yeah,
I don't know. Look, it's something stinks. Something's not right. Something we're not being told.
And there's a massive bigger picture that we don't know about.
Oh,
and that's the problem. The board don't bloody tell us anything. Like, we're basically mushrooms, kept in the dark and fed shit.
Our board already looks pretty stupid. We all think they're idiots. So
they've been looking stupid for the last fucking 11 years.
Yeah.
And you know what's stupid? But the most stupid thing, and I went on the record and saying, we'll give you 4 weeks to prove yourself, Corey Norman. He's had fucking 2 years. He's done jack shit. We'll give you 4 weeks. And they want to fuck off our best player. And they want to get rid of our best player.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense.
No offense, Corey Norman.
But this is not the way that good clubs do it. Like, you look at a club like the Roosters, when they had Brett Mullins was their fullback, and they had a young bloke coming through by the name of Anthony Minicello. They didn't go, see you later, Brett Mullins, out the door you go. They kept Mullins until Minicello was good enough to replace him, and then they pushed Mullins out to the wing.
That's exactly it.
And they did exactly the same thing with a young bloke by the name of Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. When he was coming through, once he was good enough, he replaced Minicello at fullback, and Minicello went out to the wing and then out the door. Yeah, the same thing's happening at the Warriors this year with the young bloke coming through there. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck gets pushed out to the wing. But when you get a player that is good enough, and if Tyrell Sloan or Cody Ramsey is good enough to replace Matt Dufty, then replace Matt Dufty.
Yep.
But why are we getting rid of him before that happens?
Well, Tyrell Sloan hasn't fired a shot yet, so we don't know what he's got.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, they're not proven. And as much as everyone says they're superstars and up-and-comers, they're not proven yet. Dufty is. You know, as much as it's rocks and diamonds, at the moment, we can't score a try. We can't win a game unless he's on the field. We've got to keep him, or at least short-term. You know, like, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
One last one, the closing ceremony in the Festival of Dufty. And I'll throw to you, Youngie, for this one before we take our first break. You were on the anti-Dufty bandwagon. You were happy to get rid of Dufty last week. As that performance against the Broncos, 5 try assists, 2 tries in everything, indirectly responsible for 40 of our points. Are you happy that we're getting rid of him?
Youngie has egg on his face, and Dufty said, "Fuck you, Youngie."
Yes, he did. Yes,
so
he did.
Humble Pie has been...
Team Joe wins. Team Joe wins.
Yeah. He proved me wrong big time. So, I had to suck eggs on that one. Oh, look, when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Simple as that.
I said, don't worry,
the man was on fire.
Mate, you're not the only one. I said the same thing about Ravalaara. You know, no one wanted to get rid of him more than I did. Now the guys are
guilty.
Guilty.
Now you can't play without him. He just came good.
Always been a massive man.
Yeah, Ravalaara was another one for me.
His ball handling has come a long way. Like, he used to hit the line, and that ball used to just get coughed up almost every time. But now he's got it together. So I don't know what they did, but he can hit on the ball now. So it's good.
Yeah. Ravaloa for me was one that another one that I think a lot of people were surprised when they found out that I think he's 22 now. He was 21 or something last year. So, people were surprised by how bloody young he is, how much more potential he's got to grow and develop into a superstar player. And we're starting to see that.
For sure.
Anyway, we'll take a quick break. That's it for Dufty for the rest of the show. I'm sure we'll touch on him a few more times throughout, but we'll get on to talking about some of the other players, some of the other incidents, and other things going on around the club. We're back with the second half shortly. G'day and welcome back to the Mad Dragons vodcast. We've had a lot of Dufty talk so far. Benny, I'll throw this first question to you because one of the things that you did mention was the lack of output, I suppose, from our halves. But our second try, there was 4-on-4. There was nothing really doing, but it was great ball playing from Ben Hunt. Hunt actually drew in two players, got the ball to Bird, and Bird got between defenders, giving it to Willie Army. Willie Army beat 4 players, 20-metre run to the line. I'm watching it live. I was screaming for him to give it to an unmarked Cody Ramsey, but he looked very powerful in that run. Do you think his stint playing as a running forward off the bench might have made him into a better, more dynamic centre?
Yeah, I think so. And like we've alluded to before, the service from the halves, it's crucial for those sort of plays. And it was good to see Benny having a crack. And I really wish Norman did it a bit more. I remember saying in our group chat, if Norman runs the ball, he scores. He just wasn't taking the line on. And Benny does, but he just not all the time, you know what I mean? Not as often as I'd like to see him take the line on. But when he does, mate, it's magic. It really is. But in saying that too, like we've got those fringe players there to capitalise on the opportunities. And yeah, like you were saying, they're coming off the bench, coming on as the impact player and that sort of thing. You're looking for those opportunities. Like I remember when I was playing footy and you're sitting on the bench, you're hanging to get out there, and as soon as you get on, the coach is like, go out and really make your time count. So you get in there and you're going 100 mile an hour trying to pick everyone up and carry the game forward. So it was good to see. Yeah, I think the other good thing I liked was there's a lot of variety in the plays and the tries that we scored against the Broncos. So, yeah, it was an exciting brand of footy and it was really good to see. So, and it wasn't all Dufty. We've talked about him a lot. There was a lot of other great efforts, by Benny Hunt, and even Corey Norman did some great stuff, and I'm not a huge Norman fan, as you know, but like that kick back inside for Dufty to score, that was brilliant, I was sitting there, please don't kick a fucking bit, but he didn't, so it was awesome.
See, it's exactly the same thing that he tried to do against Cronulla. Basically, when he had the shot at field goal, he's decided, no, I'm going to go for the bloody try instead. I mean, if that comes off, we're singing his bloody praises. This one's absolutely come off. It was a filthy bloody kick. And, anyone with less pace than Dufty probably wouldn't have got there. And Asako looked to his right, but he didn't look to his left. He didn't fucking see Dufty come until it was too late.
Yeah.
He was chugging on a smoke, mate.
There's 2 seconds left on the clock. Just knock it dead. He had nothing to lose by knocking it over the dead ball line.
The fucking hospital,
Whether there's no one coming, just get rid of the fucking ball. I mean, dumb shit from Asako, I tell you. But you did bring up something really good there, Benny, in terms of the kicking game. So one of the things that Youngie, you said on the show last week was that our kicking game needed to be better. We needed more variety. We needed to execute our kicking plan better, long kicking, short kicking, the whole kit and caboodle. How did you rate our kicking game against the Broncos, mate?
Well, Benny
More
Hunt
humble
must have
pie or
heard me.
what?
Benny Hunt must have heard me because he did that 40-20 exactly the right time. So
40-20 over fucking 48.
you can turn the screws with a kick like that, and that put us straight back on the front foot.
Yeah.
So when the forwards are struggling, you got to come off with a kick like that.
Yeah.
So that was good.
Yeah, no, that was a fantastic kick. But there was also, I thought, in the second half, one of the keys to us actually getting right on top in that second half and ramming home our advantage after they had a player sent to the bin was Corey Norman. His short kicking game built pressure. Kept putting it into the in goal, getting us repeat sets and allowing us to build pressure until the damn wall broke. How did you rate the short kicking game, Joe?
Go.
The short kicking game was the best. Yeah, and the long kicking game too. But overall, they stepped up in their kicking game. The kicking game was amazing, much better than normal.
Yeah. No. Okay. So the other big thing that people were looking forward to prior to this game was the return of Jack de Belin. Now, he got 26. He got 26 minutes of playing time. How did you rate the performance from Jack, and how important is he to us in the back half of 2021, Matty?
Very old, I'd venture to say. Look, he did have limited time, and obviously he did sort of come up sort of way too early for I think it was Rabati's was his first try, I think. But that's just a timing thing. He'll get that back in due course, so not particularly worried about that. But I noticed he was sort of controlling the defense a little bit, so trying to organise it. And look, I think he did pretty well for a guy who's just come back from a couple of years out of the game. It's going to take time for him to get back to where he was, but I absolutely reckon he will.
How good was it when he was getting ready to go on, like the crowd, just the noise they were making? Like, it gave me chills. It was so good to see. Like, just I thought he'd be copping a lot of crap, but I think the Dragons fans are really getting behind him, which is just awesome, And I think
more Broncos supporters that would have been there.
Yeah, I heard a report too that he sort of teared up a bit after the game, and it's good.
Yeah.
It's like he would have been hanging to get his first run in first grade again. It's so good to see.
Well,
keep it going.
Youngie, his next game up against the Bulldogs.
Yeah.
That's going to be will that be a test for de Belin in terms of how he handles that, because they're going to be pretty feral against him.
I'd actually start him, yeah. So for me, he's going straight into lock. I saw enough in that game, the way, like his ball handling skills, the way he held the ball up for that try. His ball assists were really good, I thought. So I saw enough to like, and I'd be selected.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think. Well, I actually thought Jackson Ford had a pretty good game, but he doesn't do, again, where we talked about Dufty and other fullbacks.
But he's not a Jack de Belin, mate.
Yeah, he's not in the same stratosphere as Jack de Belin in terms of you don't realise how much we missed having a lock that can play that length man, and it just allows our halves to get a little bit wider of the ruck. It allows so many other in our structure, in the way that we set up, the way that our shape is on both sides of the ruck. By having Jack de Belin there, and he's a damaging ball runner as well, everything that he brings makes us a better team. And that's just talking about attack. I mean, Joe talked about his defence. I don't think there's a better technique in the competition, and that includes Jake Trebojevic, who's got a great technique, but it's not Jack de Belin.
Yeah, it reminds me of Jeremy Smith a lot too. But I reckon there's nobody in the game, not let alone forward, but nobody in the game defends like Jack de Belin. And I touch on the same point as I said before. You're weaker defender, if and I don't want to bring it up again, but if you're bringing in, say, Dufty in the halves or whatever, he can protect them and he can help. You know, the guys his tackling technique is all high. I think he tackled 22 tackles in 27 minutes or something. What was his stat? It was incredible.
I've got an alternative option to that. I'd leave Jack where he is. The guy to do the job is Bird, I reckon. If he goes to the second row and he's on that edge, he could help defend Dufty out there. I reckon he's the man for the job. A little bit more mobile.
Yeah, probably. And, Jack's defense is the best too. So, but in saying that, that's Jack Bird, that is. But Jack de Belin, my God, man. Like, I'm more, I'm going to say this on the record. I don't care. I'm more confident of making the semi-finals now, knowing that he's back in our team. Put it that way, Jack de Belin. And I'm excited about the year that's to come, the next 12, 13 rounds. I'm not worried about the big teams anymore. And Jack de Belin doesn't,
especially when we get Lomax back.
Exactly. So,
you got another option,
and I know we've got the unofficial bye next week of the Bulldogs. So, when we play the bye next week, the Homebush Bulldogs, we'll get the job done. Fire up, lads! That's 2 more points coming our way.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, Joe. I think Jack de Belin, as he gets more time under his belt and the ability to play longer minutes and potentially start, I don't know whether it's this week, but he will certainly build up to the point where he can get through 65, 70 minutes of the game. Once we get Jack de Belin there, I think we become one of the premier teams in the competition. He adds so much to us in both attack and defence that I don't know. I think maybe we've underestimated exactly how important he is to this side. Moving on, our 8th try, and it's great that we get to talk about the fact that we scored more than 8 tries. That's bloody awesome. I don't actually have anything to say about it, but given that we've discussed every single other try, it feels rude not to mention Ben Hunt's try. A bit of a show and go. Ben Hunt does it all himself to score under the posts. It was nice to see Benny get across for this one.
Oh, yeah. You asked for Benny about
Benny.
Over you, Benny.
my second Benny Hunt opinion. Yeah, no, awesome. Like I said before, it's so good to see him running the footy. You know what? It's a part of his game that the opposition aren't used to and aren't prepared for because he doesn't do it that often. But when he does, yeah, it's magic. I love watching him do that. It's I still would like to see him in the hooker role. I think personally, McCulloch did.
Just so good at hooker. Just so good.
He is, and that's what we need. Just that question mark with him coming out, hooker. Is he going to take a scoot? Is he going to kick from there? His service. He can obviously read the game well enough that he can make those calls on the spot and read the play. So, but yeah, it's good to see him running the footy. And I hope he does it more, and I hope Norman looks at it and goes, okay, well maybe I should have a crack too. But yeah, what else can you say? It was an awesome game. It really was. I think maybe we might be looking at another one next week. I don't know if we'll be getting 40, 50 points, but I reckon, like Joe said, it's going to be unofficial 2 points. But yeah, it'll be good to watch.
The Bulldogs, mate. We need to smash those pricks.
Joe, you raised this next one. So currently the top 8 is Panthers, Storm, Eels, Rabbits, Roosters, the Mighty Dragons, Manly and the Cowboys. With 12 rounds to play, is the top 8 locked in, or are there teams outside the 8 that you think can still make it?
I'm going to say it this way. Who potentially can make it and who would potentially drop off? Who's in the 8 now, So top 4's locked. Probably top 5 would be locked. But the bottom 3, 6, 7 and 8 isn't locked.
Dragons to lose.
I don't think the Tigers or the Warriors or the Gold Coast can creep into the 8 at the expense of the bottom 3 out of 6, 7 and 8 you know. And if anybody does from 6, 7, or 8 drop off, it'll more than likely be the Cowboys over us and over Manly. Manly will probably make it as well, I'm thinking. And it's who's vulnerable would be us and the Cowboys. And I think we're just a bit stronger than the Cowboys. And there's nobody from the bottom 8 who's strong enough to leapfrog it. So, in my opinion, I honestly think it's pretty set. But
I'm worried about the Warriors.
Yeah,
I'm not worried.
I'm with Youngie a bit there. I think the Warriors have got a much more favourable run home than we do. If I'm to play devil's advocate, we need to win our next 3 games, or we're not going to make the 8. That's flat out my opinion. If we don't beat the Dogs, the Raiders, and the Warriors over the next 3 weeks, I don't think we make the 8. So we drop one of these games, then we'll need to win 1, maybe 2 games against teams that are currently above us on the ladder. We've got a really tough run home. So this period between now and the bye, for me, is our season on the line. Does anybody else see us maybe missing the 8?
No, I don't. I reckon we've got the goods to get there. Like you said, the next 3-4 weeks are definitely going to be crucial. But look at Penrith's results. From having 7 players missing from Origin, it's only the first game. They're not the only team hurting from Origin selections, and we're pretty solid in that regard. So,
doesn't that game show that the Panthers beaten by the Tigers, beaten convincingly by the Tigers? Doesn't that show what we've been going through over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks with 11 out of our players missing?
Yes.
That's what happens when you have that amount of players out of your side.
We had
100%. 100%. That's why I back us, because not only we've got players coming back, but we've got Jack the Bellin man, The kid's a machine.
Right.
So, look, I'm quietly confident. Let's just see how we roll. But, getting the wins during the Origin season is crucial. We got 1 up. We've got a bye into the 3rd one. I'm not too sure who we've got in the 2nd Origin.
No, so this is the only game where we miss Origin players. The 2nd game is a general bye for the entire competition. And the 3rd game, we've got a bye.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good. And then that's the trick. To win games when other teams have byes, to stay in touch, we need to win those games in that round, in the bye week. And that helps us.
It's not just our results either. Like, the other team's results are playing such a big part of the ladder at the moment. So, you know what I mean? Like, a few big teams get a few losses, a few lower teams jag a few wins. Who knows what's going to happen, Like, I'm quietly confident we'll be sort of up around 6. That's what I'm tipping.
There's a lot of footy to be played, and I think we're on the way up. So these games that we're sort of marking down at the moment, games against Souths and the Roosters and Penrith, we're sort of marking them down in our head as losses at the moment. But I think we're on the way up. I think by the time we get to them, we might be playing our best footy and we might be able to roll teams like that. So we might end up finishing a fair bit higher than we think. If it all goes the way that we expect, then you're probably right. We're probably looking at 7th or 8th. But I've only tipped 1 perfect round all year. So me doing the ladder predictor with 12 rounds to go, it probably doesn't mean a great deal. So there's a lot of footy to be played yet.
Yeah,
I had a sneaky bet on the Tigers the other night, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I had the Tigers as well.
Got a couple of cartons of piss now.
Nice.
I had a perfect round this week, so that's my 2nd one.
Nice.
4 games, so I don't know whether that counts.
You said it, I didn't. I was about to say it 4 rounds.
Anyway, we'll move off the Dragons just momentarily onto the reason for that there's only 4 games, and that's State of Origin on Wednesday. Matty, how's that game in Townsville going to go?
I'm fucked if I know, mate.
All right, we'll move on to someone else.
No, look, it's going to be a very, very interesting game. I think if it, barring, sin bins, send-offs and all that kind of shit, if it's refereed down the line, I reckon New South Wales have got it fairly comfortably.
In Townsville.
Yeah, that's the wild card for me. I mean, I don't know how much time you guys have spent in Townsville, but if you think Brisbane is mad about Queensland, if you think it's scary driving past the Caxton on State of Origin night, you have seen nothing. The people up in the north of Queensland are complete and utter ferals. They're absolutely nuts about rugby league. I mean, that is going to be the most intimidating environment I think New South Wales players have ever walked into.
Make sure you got luck nuts on your car, on your wheels.
I just think playing in Townsville gives Queensland a huge advantage in this contest. And then the second game in Brisbane. Yeah, second game's in Brisbane. So 2 games in a row in Queensland. New South Wales needs to win one of those 2 games. It's just that simple. I think that you look at the teams on paper. You look at the traditional yearly Queensland have got injury concerns, and you know that Munster's going to play despite all this crap. They do it every bloody year, but there seems to be that unrest in the Queensland camp. New South Wales seems nice and settled. They've got a really strong playing group that they've put together. You look at the teams side by side, and you'd have to say New South Wales looked the better team, but that's never really mattered too much when it comes to State of Origin.
Queensland. Here's the thing about Queensland: they could pull a bunch of pensioners with mobility scooters, put maroon jerseys on them, and
you getting the call up, Daz?
I could, I might get the call up. But look, Queensland are known for putting nobodies on the park, and they will get it together and get a win. So I wouldn't be worried about what it looks like on paper. They will turn up. Look out.
Yeah. No,
I just hope they let them play footy. That was my biggest concern. I expressed it a couple of weeks back. I just hope they let them play rugby league, not this touch football, jersey grabbing, fucking tag shit. You know, the refs will make or break this game. I'll go on the record and say it right now. The refs are either going to make this an awesome spectacle or they're going to totally fuck it.
It's a showpiece event in our season. I look forward to it every year, and I can't wait to see how it goes. And like you, Benny, I just really hope that the referees, the officials, V'landys ball doesn't fuck this game up, because it needs to be a special event. It needs to be played with ferocity, and they need to be allowed to play with ferocity. So. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll watch with keen interest on Wednesday. We only have one player in Origin, and we do have a big break between Origin and our game against the Bulldogs on Monday. With Tarek coming back into the team and both edge forwards going so well against the Broncos, do you think Bird goes back into the centres, or do you think Kerr moves back to the bench? Youngie?
If it's me, I'm leaving Bird on the edge, and Kerr goes to the bench. Based on what I saw the other night, I liked him in the back row. So that's just my thought.
I agree with Youngie.
Yeah, 100%. Bird's a tryer.
No, I agree.
Every minute.
I agree with Youngie too, and you know that's unanimous, which is disappointing. I was hoping somebody would take the other side, but. No, it was. We talked. I talked before about how Jack de Belin gives us another dimension to our attack. I think Jack Bird does exactly the same thing. You know, having a bloke with the skill set of Bird, he can run good lines like a centre. He can play as an extra player. It just gives us another option out wide and keeps the defence in 2 minds. Whereas I don't think Josh Kerr does anything. I think Josh Kerr is developing as an edge forward. I think he's getting better. I don't think he's all that great as a middle forward. I think he's getting better as an edge. But in one game, we've seen Jack Bird's already better. So for me, I'd be keeping Bird in the second row, and be looking to move Kerr back to the bench, maybe giving one of those blokes a Tarek after Origin, maybe give him a bit of a breather, and he can play out at an edge. He can play in the middle. through part of the game to get some minutes as well. So, I agree with all of you. I think Kerr goes back to the bench and Bird stays on the edge.
So what, Tarek on the left and then Bird on the right?
Oh,
I think Bird left.
We hear that Bird likes to play on the right side. So that might be his opportunity to move to the right.
Yeah, I think Bird's got the versatility to play on whatever side.
Either side. But
either side.
Yeah.
I don't think Bird gives a shit. So if Tarek does, then move Bird. But,
just going to stiffen up that defence as well. If you keep him in the back row, he gets more involved, gets the ball more. And then in defence, I think he's going to help a lot. So I'd leave him there.
Yeah.
Just my thoughts.
All right, so our man Corey Norman. Most seem to think that he had a pretty good game against the Broncos, but we mentioned Junior Ramon earlier in the show. Backed up, played 80 minutes at lock in reserve grade, where he had a line break and 2 try assists. Jaden Sullivan scored 2 tries, had 3 tackle busts and a try assists in 64 minutes out on the park in reserve grade, while Adam Clune scored 2 tries and had 3 try assists, 5 try involvements for Adam Clune, as the Dragons climbed off the bottom of the ladder in reserve grade to beat Souths 40 points to 18. It's good to see there's still plenty of pressure being put on Normie, despite the fact that he had a decent game, Benny.
Yeah, that's the thing, you know. It's sort of odd to me that they're still sort of keeping him in the first grade squad, you know. Like, Mary was happy to drop him for a few weeks to see if he could actually, you know, pick himself up. But Hook just seems to be staying solid with him. You know, a few Tuesdays there when they released the team list, and I'm thinking, I don't think Norman's going to make the cut. And there he is, week after week. But no, it's credit to him. He actually had a pretty decent game against the Bronx. But those high pressure games, you know, Melbourne, Penrith, Roosters, he just goes missing for me. You know, he gets lazy, he gets complacent. He's not a player that can turn a game and create those magic opportunities, and that's what we need. It shouldn't be all up to Dufty.
Yeah. No, I think the kids are coming. They're coming fast. There was some concern with, I mentioned Bud Sullivan. He only got through 64 minutes. He had a bit of a minor knock to the... What's that?
Wasn't there an injury concern?
So, no, there's no concern at all.
He's all right.
So I've heard that there was no real injury, so it was all precautionary. He'll be fine to go and available for selection this week. So just a precaution to pull him off. We already had the game wrapped up. He actually kicked really well as well, so his goal kicking is another string to his bow.
I love his kicking game.
He'd be a better goal kicker than Corey Norman, despite the fact Norman had a good day with the boot on the weekend. So just quickly as well, the 3 grades, 3 wins for the Dragons, which is always fantastic. The under-21s actually move into second spot on the ladder after coming from 16-0 down at half-time against the Rabbits. They got tries to Tyrone Roberts, Bailey Antrobus and James Schiller to win the game 18 points to 16. And, as I said, moving into second spot. So they're a very good show of going very deep into that Jersey flag competition. All right, boys, we'll move into last thoughts on either the game against the Broncos or the upcoming game against the Bulldogs. We'll start with you, Matty.
Look, Bulldogs, if we can play like we did against the Broncos, we'll put bloody 60 on the Bulldogs. Have to say, a little bit full tonight from eating so much humble pie after Norman's efforts. 7 from 8 from the boot, and everything he touched just seemed to work. I'd like to see him do that consistently. That's been the major problem in his the whole time he's been with us. He needs to keep doing what he did against the Broncos week in, week out. He does that, we're pushing for top 4, I reckon.
Random joke,
what's going on there?
You didn't like that, Joe. I take it you did like that comment.
That was funny. That was funny. Oh, we're fucking fighting shit uphill to make the top 8. We want to make the top 4.
This is the fucking Muppet Show this week.
All right, Joe, your last thoughts, mate?
Get back on the wagon.
My last thoughts is we haven't touched on this, but why didn't Ben Hunt make the top 17? Not even the top 20 for Queensland.
Oh, I think he went close. Cherry Evans was in there though.
Yeah, but hooker,
You're
not
gonna
even
carry
bench,
half on the
not
bench?
even bench spot. Not even bench spot. Not that I give a shit, thank God, because he stayed playing for us. But goes to show you maybe that really his form's not really 100% either. Do you know what I mean?
Like I said on the show last week, there's no chance Ben Hunt was making this Queensland team. They've got Reed Marnie, they've got Harry Grant, and as a utility option, they've got AJ Brimson. All three of them miles and miles and miles ahead of Ben Hunt. And if Ben Hunt was playing dummy half for us, he'd probably be in the Queensland team. But he's not. He's playing halfback. They can't pick him at dummy half based on what he's doing at halfback in club footy. So
yeah, but they've done
that
in previous years. But they've done that in previous years.
Yeah, they didn't have Reed Marnie and Harry Grant in previous years.
Yeah,
they had Jake, who was just a player, and they didn't have much else. So the fact that they've got this Reed Marnie who is going really well at Para, and that they've got Harry Grant who is a superstar, they're your 2 nines. They're miles ahead of Hunt, and they're playing 9 every week. So Hunt's done himself out of a rep jersey for me.
But Reed Marnie played for Parramatta today. Who's their hooker then, Queensland?
Harry Grant.
All right, what about the utility?
I think they got Brimson. Is Brimson in the 17?
But either way,
Sure.
$1.2 million and doesn't get a shoe-in for Brisbane. He should be playing the starting lineup for $1.2 fucking million. He should be in the Queensland starting lineup, let alone not even being in contention for a bench spot.
Queensland don't care about that.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just making a point. This is the reason for our demise for the last 3 or 4 years. We've paid overs for a player. We've got $600,000-$700,000 that have been wasted in our salary cap. That's why we're not doing too well. No matter how well we try and do, and we try to justify everything, at the end of the day, that's my final quote for the day. Thank you and good night.
Right, it looks like Benny's dropped off, mate. So I'll go to you, Youngie, for your last thoughts.
We've got to beat the Bulldogs. We can't afford to take them lightly. They've got nothing to lose at the moment. They're trying to get themselves off the bottom of the ladder. They don't want that spoon, so they will give themselves a chance against us. They will turn up. We need to turn up. We need to be eyes up and watching what we're doing. And, our forwards need to pave the way through this one.
Righto, boys. It's been a fantastic show. A lot of gibbering shit, but we got there in the end. It was a lot of fun. That performance against the Broncos, that'll be enough to beat the Broncos. That kind of performance will be enough to beat the Bulldogs. But if we want to beat some of these other teams, these better teams, these teams that we're going to be competing with for a final spot, we need to keep improving. We need to keep getting better. We need all of our players to keep going up through the gears. I think we've got it in us. I think that there's a lot of good players to come back into our side that are going to make us stronger down the stretch. And if we can get our best team on the park, I think we can compete with anyone. So go the Dragons.